Hello, I'm Ava Garcia. I am number 16 in Miss Cruz's class. I have two questions. So, raise your hands if you have ever been on an airplane before. Okay. Now, raise your hands if you have ever been on an airplane over the ocean. Well, my name is Amelia Mary Earhart, and I was the first woman to fly across the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. The title of my book, I was a brave and adventurous woman, and I always wanted to be the first to do things that had never been done before. I was a pioneer, and not only did I fly planes, but I helped start an airline service, and I helped fight for women's right to vote. I was born on July 24, 1897, in Atchison, Kansas. When I was 7 years old, my father took me to the World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. I saw a roller coaster, and I took the idea to build my own at home. I loved the speed and the feelings of us flying through the air. When I was in 8th grade, I saw my first airplane at the Iowa State Fair, although I didn't really think of it much at the time. When I was 19, I went to school in Pennsylvania, but soon after World War I started, and I wanted to help, so I left school to heal injured soldiers at a hospital. My life changed when I was 23 years old. I was at a California air show and I saw pilots racing their planes. I was fascinated. Several days later, I took my first plane ride, and at that point, I knew I had to learn how to fly. I started taking lessons, and within 1 year, I became an airplane pilot. I started learning how to do upside-down loops, and I tried to see how high my plane could go. I flew 14,000 feet up into the air, which is about 2.5 miles. This was a new record. At 28 years old, most women were already married and had children, but not me. I had more adventures to do. I took a job in New York to be a passenger of a plane that would fly over the Atlantic Ocean. The flight lasted over 20 hours, and although I didn't fly the plane, I was the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. People thought I was extremely brave for this. In 1929, the Great Depression hit, so I helped start an airline that would be called the New York and Philadelphia Washington Airway. I continued to set new records. I flew 180 miles per hour. In 1930, I got news that my father was really sick, so I flew to California to see him. On my way back to New York, I got news that my father had passed away. This is a very sad time for me. In 1931, I married a man named George Putnam. By now, wood-framed airplanes were getting replaced by faster all-metal airplanes. In 1932, I decided that I wanted to be the first person to fly alone across the Atlantic Ocean. I took off from Canada, and although the flight had many challenges, I finally landed in a Calapastrian island. I had done it. Everybody wanted to meet me, even the President of the United States, Herbert Hoover. He gave me a medal. I became famous, and I helped women get jobs that only men were allowed to do. People even liked the way I dressed, so Macy's department store started designing clothes in my name. In 1935, I was asked if I wanted to be the first person to fly from Hawaii to California. It was 2,500 miles over the Pacific, and it took 18.5 hours, but I did it. It was getting harder to set new records, but there's one more flight I was determined to take. I would fly around the world. This challenging flight would be almost 29,000 miles long. I prepared for months. The trip started off well. I flew over America, over the Atlantic, and into Africa. I had flown for 3 weeks and 20,000 miles. I was getting pretty tired. In July, I reached New Guinea, and the next place I would refuel was on Howland Island. I took off and was fine for the first 7 hours, but then radio problems started happening. Ships surrounded the island to help me find where to land, but with communications not working, I was unable to find the island. Thousands of men on ships and airplanes searched for me, but I was never found or heard from again. If I were alive, I'd be 126 years old today. I believe I was a strong, determined, brave, and adventurous woman, and a lot of people thought that I was inspiring, and I seemed to live a full life before I was lost too young. I am Amelia Earhart. Thank you.